we got some powerful things that we want to be talking about. And so the first thing I want to talk about is what are some of the changes with the Sunday night call. So first of all, we're going to build a website. It has not been built yet, but there will be a website that will house all of the replays and future schedules. So any schedules, anything that that we want to put out that has to do with the Sunday night call with June Collier, a website will be there to take care of that. I'll try to make sure that we get that done by the next Sunday night call. The Sunday night call with June Collier will not be every Sunday. It will not be every Sunday. In fact, next Sunday, we're going to be in Orlando, Florida at the Cash Flow Conference. So next Sunday, we will not be hosting a Sunday night call with June Collier. I am probably going to host a call 2 or 3 times a month. I'm going to at least take one Sunday off, but at least 2 to 3 times a month, we will have that Sunday night call. The schedule will be posted on that website as well. It will be on Facebook notifications, and individuals will be able to email questions and suggestions for future calls. So if you have questions, if you have comments, if you have thoughts on what you would like to see, if you've got some questions that you'd like to have some more details on, you will be able to do so and email me those things, and we will see if we can address those things. We will start on time and end on time, so I'm going to be done here by 8 o'clock. I'm going to make sure that I'm done by 8 o'clock. And I'm focused this time on training topics. So always bring a pen and pad. I'm going to be focused on training topics. So our Sunday night calls will be very, very detailed. They'll be on training topics. That's why I wanted to do a webinar so you could actually see what it is that we're actually doing. So that's going to be important as well. Let's see what's next. This call is hosted by June Collier. So a lot of times people get confused and they say, well, is this a My Econ call? And they might call the corporate office and say, you know, where's the call that's happening on Sunday night? This is a call for my team. I was doing the Sunday night call with June Collier before I became the VP of marketing with My Econ. So this is a call hosted by June Collier, paid for by June Collier. Everything is June Collier on this. But you are welcome to jump in and join our call. This is a team call, but I'm making it available to anyone who wants to participate and to learn some information. So that's what we're all about here at My Econ, is making sure that everybody gets the information that they actually need. So let's first start off here with this call, and let's start off with what happens with your first person. You know, we recently had a new comp plan addition that came up. We went 100% commission. So as you guys know, you receive 100% commission when you bring somebody into the business for $49.95. You receive $50, 100% commission the very next Friday. So that's big. The other big thing that we did, that we changed, is instead of getting 2 people to get promoted to executive vice president, you now are only required to have 1 person to be promoted to executive vice president. Now, again, if you have questions, you can go ahead and type in your questions. I'll try to get to your questions as we go along. I'm not going to be paying too much attention to the comments because I got a lot of information that I want to cover here tonight. But let's talk about the first person. So we got Mr. Bob. Bob is an executive vice president. He's already in the company. He's been in the company for quite some time. And Bob has decided that he is going to continue to build his business. And what Bob does is Bob goes out and Bob brings in, let's see here, he brings in Mary. And so when Bob brings in Mary, Bob earns $50. Okay, that's that direct 100% commission. The very next Friday, Bob gets $50 for bringing Mary in. Now, Mary's a marketing director, and she's pretty excited about My Econ. She wants to get her My Econ business off and running to a great start. So here's what Mary does. Mary actually goes out, and she knows a dude by the name of Tone Loke. Like Tone, right? And so Mary sponsors Tone. Now, because Tone is Mary's first person, Mary is going to earn $10. Mary is also going to get promoted to executive vice president, and then she is also eligible to earn 5% on Tone's base shop earnings. Now, those are three things that's going to happen to Mary. So I want you guys to understand, the first person that you bring in, there are three things that's going to actually happen. The first thing that's going to happen is Mary is, hold on one second. Let me see if I can turn this video off. There we go. I think that's going to work so that you can see the full slide. The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to get $10 for your first person. The second thing that's going to happen, you're going to get promoted to executive vice president. And then the third thing that happens, you're going to earn 5% on the base shop earnings of the first person that you brought in. That's it. There's nothing else that happens. Okay. So make sure that you understand that. Now, in order to get the 5% of Tone's base shop earnings, Tone has to have a base shop, which means that Tone has to get promoted to executive vice president. So when Mary brings Tone in, here's what also happens. Tone is placed inside of Bob's organization. So Tone is now in Bob's organization. He is in Bob's base shop. Bob is going to earn $40 as what we call a training bonus. Just think of the $40 as a training bonus. Bob got started. He sponsored Mary. Bob got $50 from Mary. And then Bob is going to help Mary get promoted to executive vice president. When Bob helps Mary get promoted to executive vice president, Bob earns a $40 training bonus. Now, Tone is placed inside of Bob's organization. Tone is not in Mary's organization. Let me make sure that you guys understand that. He is not in Mary's organization. The only thing that Mary is going to get from Tone from this point forward is a 5% base shop match. Now, Tone has to become executive vice president to have a base shop. And she's going to get a match, not on his entire organization, but she's going to get a match on whatever happens inside of Tone's base shop. So how much money is in the base shop? Only 50 and 40s. 50 and 40s. So if Tone makes $50 in his base shop, Mary will get $2.50. If Tone makes $40 in his base shop, Mary gets $2. Okay, that's it. Now, as Tone grows his organization, Tone is in Bob's organization. So all of the growth, all of the people that come in for Tone, for Bob to get promoted, that's all for Bob. Okay, not for Mary. All right, I just want to make sure that you guys understand that. All right, this is what happens to the first person. All right, so all you need to know about the first person is three things. You're going to get $10, you're going to get promoted, and you're going to be eligible to earn 5% on the person that you sponsored. Okay. All right, let's talk about Mary now, because it only takes one person to become an executive vice president. And so we've already got Mary as an executive vice president, and Mary is a go-getter. So as soon as Mary hits executive vice president, she goes out and she sponsors Todd, and Mary earns $50. But Mary is better than that. Mary goes out and sponsors Joan, and she gets another $50. Mary wants some more money, so Mary goes out and gets Ralph, and then she goes out and gets Kurt. So Mary makes $200 by personally sponsoring these four people. Now, here's the thing that you need to know. Our comp plan is designed so that you can get unlimited width. That means that Mary can sponsor as many people in her base shop as she chooses to. She can make $50 over and over and over and over again if she wants to. Now, Mary's a great recruiter. She knows how to go out and recruit. She knows how to go out and attract people to her business. So she's going to get all of these $50. But guess what? The power in our compensation plan is that most people are not big-time recruiters. Most people, from what I hear, only sponsor about 2 to 3 people a month. I'm sorry. Did I say a month? 2 to 3 people their entire time in their network marketing business. That's what I hear. I hear that the average networker sponsors 2.5 people. I don't know how you do a half of a person, so we're just going to say 3 people. The average networker sponsors 3 people. Now, Mary, on the other hand, is not average. She is above average. She's extraordinary, and she can go out and recruit wide, and that's fine. But our business is designed for people who also are just not as good as Mary, but they still want to be able to benefit. So here's how our comp plan actually works. Todd decides that he wants to become an EVP, so Todd goes and he sponsors his first person. Now, Mary helps Todd, and because Mary helped Todd, she gets $40. Well, that gentleman that Todd put in, he wants to get paid as well, so he goes out and he sponsors someone. Well, again, he's in Mary's base shop, so Mary gets $40. And this continues to infinity. If Joan does it, $40 to Mary. $40 again when that gentleman sponsors someone. Look at what happens. It just keeps going. And what happens is that you can get $40 to unlimited depths. So the question that you should be asking yourself, do you want to go wide? Do you want to go deep? Do you want to do both? So you have the ability to do both in your business. You have the ability to go as wide as you want, but you also have the ability to go as deep as you want. And you earn $50 when you go wide, $40 when you go deep, right? And so what you want to do is you want to continue to help people get out of your base shop so that they become first generation EVPs. I'll show that in the next slide, but I want to make sure that you understand exactly how the comp plan actually works. Anything that you personally do, you make $50. Anything that they do inside of your base shop, you make $40. All right. So unlimited width, unlimited depth. All right. I'm going to just take two people here. This is Todd and Joan. Now, in our previous slide, you saw that we had Mary personally sponsored Todd, Joan, Ralph, and Kurt. But for just the simplicity purposes here of our PowerPoint, because I don't have enough screen space to show you everything, I'm just going to take the first two people that she sponsored. So she sponsored Todd and she sponsored Joan. These are people that she personally sponsored. She's going to get $50 on these two people. All right. Now let me show you how this first generation thing actually works. So Todd goes out and he sponsors a guy by the name of Russ. And this is Todd's first person. So because this is Todd's first person, Todd's going to get $10, but Mary is going to get $40 because look, whose base shop is Russ in? Russ is in Mary's base shop. So Mary's going to make the $40. But here's the interesting thing that happens. Once Todd recruits his first person, Todd gets promoted to executive vice president, and he is removed from Mary's base shop and placed inside of Mary's first generation. All right. Now, remember, Todd recruited Russ. Now, Russ is still in Mary's base shop. And Russ decides that he wants to make some money. He wants to become an executive vice president. So Russ goes out and he recruits Ted. And Mary is working with Russ because Russ is in Mary's base shop. So Mary helps Russ recruit Ted. Once Russ recruits Ted, Mary earns another $40. But here's what happens to Russ. Russ is then promoted to executive vice president in Mary's first generation, okay? See, Russ is not in Todd's organization. He's in Mary's organization, all right? Now, Joan has been a little slow. She's been sitting around. Joan came in before Russ came in, but Joan didn't do anything. And so Joan sees all these people that are starting to get promoted to executive vice president, and Mary comes over to Joan and says, hey, look, I want to help you get promoted to executive vice president. Who do you know that would be interested in income shifting? Who do you know who would be interested in credit repair? Who do you know that would be interested in learning how to invest? And Joan says, you know, I got a friend and his name is Ben. And so Joan and Mary go talk to Ben, and Ben gets started in the business. Well, Mary gets $40 because that's Joan's first. And Ben comes inside of Mary's base shop. But here's something that happens. Joan now gets promoted to executive vice president. So Joan is now moved out of Mary's base shop and moved into Mary's first generation. Now we got Ted and Ben sitting inside of Mary's base shop. And so what is Mary going to do? She's going to start working with both Ted and Ben, and she wants to get them promoted as well. Well, Ben goes out and gets Dan. Dan gives $40 back to Mary. Another $40 comes into Mary's hands because Dan is Ben's first person. Now that Ben has recruited his first person, Ben is now promoted to executive vice president. And ladies and gentlemen, this goes on and on and on. Notice that Mary is getting $40 for people that she never even knew. And these $40 people, they're also becoming Mary's first generation EVPs. So these are people inside of Mary's base shop that Mary did not know that are now becoming first generation EVPs for Mary. So Mary's organization is starting to grow. She's starting to get some first generation EVPs. Now, a lot of people are kind of confused about first generation. What does that mean and why is that so important? Well, let's talk about why your first generation is so important. So as you can see in this particular slide, I'm talking about base shop and then first generation EVPs. All right. And so here's what you have to understand. When you start looking at getting promoted, so let's just say, for example, you're getting promoted to executive vice president gold. And I'm going to go off of the normal numbers. I know that we got a promo going on right now. I think it's 7 for EVP gold. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off the normal numbers. The normal numbers say that you need 10 people in your organization with no more than 5 in your base shop or any first generation EVP's organization. Okay, so you need a total of 10, but you can count no more than 5 in any first generation EVP or base shop leg. So let's take a look at what Mary has. If you look at Mary, she has 6 inside of her base shop. So she can only count 5 towards the 10 that she needs to become a gold. So she could have 20 sitting inside of her base shop. It wouldn't matter. She can only count 5 in her base shop towards the promotion of gold. So she counts 5 out of her base shop, and then she can count no more than 5 in any first generation leg. Well, guess what? She's got 4 legs here. The more first generation EVPs you have, the easier it is for you to start rank advancing. So now Todd's going to have 2. That's him and this person. Joan is going to have 4. That's her and the 3 people that she's got in her organization. Russ is going to count towards 5, and Ben is going to count towards 1. Okay? And I want to show you this because when you go into your back office and you want to say, well, how do I get promoted to the next rank? How do I get promoted to EVP Gold? How do I get promoted to EVP Platinum? There is a report in your back office that's called qualification report. When you go to your qualification report, it's going to show you if you were qualified for that rank. So let me show you what the qualification report actually looks like. Let me see. Did I take it out? Here we go. All right. Let's go to the qualification report here. This is what your qualification report actually looks like. So you'll notice over here to the left, it says level. BS is your base shop. Okay. Now, how many did we say was in Mary's base shop? See, here's Mary Max. She's an EVP Gold. She's active. But we looked in her base shop. She had 6. But I told you you could count no more than 5 per leg. So see, when you go in your qualification report, you're going to see one column that says actual, and then you're going to see the next column that says max leg. So she actually has 6 people in her organization or in her base shop, but she can only count 5 towards the EVP Gold qualification. So now what that means is she's got to have some first generation EVPs. So now you'll see the 4 first generation EVPs that she has. Remember, she had 4 first generation EVPs. She had Todd, she had Joan, she had Russ, and she had Ben. And remember, Todd had 2. So Todd actually has 2, The max leg is 2. So I can count all of Todd's 2. Now, if Todd had 10, it would say actual 10, max leg 5, because I can only count 5 for any first generation EVP, okay, for gold, for qualification of gold. So we see that Todd has 2. We count all 2 of them. We see Joan. Joan has 4. We're able to count all 4 of hers. Russ, he has 5. He is maxed out at 5. So we count all 5. And then Ben's a first generation EVP, but he hasn't put anybody inside of his base shop yet. So the only person that we can count right now is Ben. So he's a first generation EVP though. So I can still count him as 1. So totally on my team, I have a total of 18. But for qualification purposes, the computer looks at the max leg count and says that you've got 17. Now, how many do I need to be a gold? I need 10. So that's why I'm promoted as a gold. Now, this can be confusing to a lot of people because some people will go in and they'll go crazy and just personally sponsor 20 people. And they'll personally sponsor 20 people, but those 20 people have not sponsored anybody. And then they'll wonder why they're not a gold. Well, I got 20 people. You said I needed 10. Yeah, what the system says, and we'll go back. If you look right up here at the qualification report for gold, it says 10 AISM. That means 10 active income shifting memberships. So that's 10 people that's in your business. And then you'll see a /5 AISM. That basically means out of the 10 people that you have in your base, in your organization, a max of 5 per leg, a max of 5 per leg. You can count no more than a max of 5 per leg. Now, when you get promoted to platinum and you start trying to go to, platinum, you need 80 people on your team with no more than 20 in any first generation or base shop leg. When you become an infinity, you need 400 people on your team, counting no more than 80 in any one leg. And then a CEO infinity is 1,000 people on your team, counting no more than 100 in any one particular leg. Now, why does my econ have those stipulations? Well, let's go back and take a look here. These are your different legs, okay? Todd is a leg, Joan is a leg, Russ is a leg, Ben is a leg. And these are your first generation EVPs. Let's just say that Russ goes out and Russ puts 1,000 people in the business. Well, you can't count. I'm going to make Russ a EVP CEO Infinity. If he has everything structured right, he's got 1,000 people. He's got everything structured right. But now Russ is in your organization. So your organization has 1,000 people. But for you, it's not structured because all 1,000 people are in that one leg. So for you, you're going to still be in this situation an EVP gold, right? Now, here's the beauty here, because what you need to understand is you need to understand the difference in how my econ comp plans work versus maybe some other places. In other places, when a person that you sponsor surpasses you, when that person passes you up, in most compensation plans, any of the people that they sponsor after they pass you in rank, you no longer get paid on. That's how it works in most companies. But here in my econ, it doesn't work that way. If Russ has 1,000 people in his organization, you have 1,000 people in your organization, and you get paid on those 1,000 people based on your rank. So see, even though Russ passed you up in qualification, you still get paid on all of those people that come into your organization at the rank level that you're at, okay? So we'll talk about that here in a minute, all right? So for example, if you are an EVP and you got 1,000 people in your organization because you put somebody in and they just took off, well, you would make an override $2.50. So you would make minimum $2,500 on all those people that came in. And then if they stay in for a full 5 months, you start making $1 Dream Team residual. So that's 1,000 people times $1, as long as they fit within your first 3 generations. You see, as an EVP, you get paid on generations 1 through 3. All right. Same is true as if you were a gold. Those same people, you get paid $3 Dream Team residual. Even though the person passed you up, they're still in your organization. So see, when you recruit somebody into the business, that person, when they get promoted to executive vice president, they're going to fall on your generation 1, and they're going to always be on your generation 1. So even if they surpass you, even if they become a CEO Infinity and you're still a gold, you're going to get paid on all those people that they brought into the organization. As long as it's within the generations that you're qualified to get paid on, you're going to still get paid on those people, regardless of if that person passed you up. Now, that's a game changer. That is, no pun intended, that changes the game from our compensation plan to other compensation plans that you may have seen. Most compensation plans cut you off once the person bypasses you. All right. So we've looked at the goal qualification report. Let's talk about the power of tap rooting, because you could come into my econ, you could build your business with just 2 people and become a CEO Infinity by you only sponsoring 2 people. Now, the chances of that happening are probably slim, but it could happen. And I'm going to give you a perfect scenario on how that could happen. So here we got Mary. Mary is helping everybody in her base shop promote to EVP. So Mary brought in 2 people. That's all that she ever brought in. And this gentleman right here with the red bow tie, that's her second person that she brought in. Well, he brings in a person. And as soon as he brings in the person, he gets promoted as an executive vice president in Mary's first generation. So now the person that he brought in, Mary helps that person. Remember, Mary never personally sponsors anybody else. Well, that person brings in someone, and then they're promoted to executive vice president. And then Mary just keeps helping the people in her base shop. She helps this gentleman, he gets promoted to executive vice president. She helps this lady, she brings in this person, she gets promoted to executive vice president. This person brings in this person, that person gets promoted to executive vice president. And Mary is continuously making $40. Now, remember, she never brought in any more people herself. She's just helping her team get one and get promoted. So this gentleman brings somebody in, and boom, once again, he gets promoted. This gentleman brings somebody in, and boom, once again, this gentleman gets promoted. So we can see right here, Mary has created 7 first-generation EVPs. Even though she only brought in 2 people, her first person went to her upline, her second person started her base shop, and then everybody that came into her base shop had to give up 1 to get out. And every time they gave up 1 and they got out and went to Mary's first generation. So now Mary has all of these first generation EVPs. See, every MD that you help promote out of your base shop is going to pay you $40. And it creates a new first generation leg that now pays you generational overrides and Dream Team residuals. That's what GOR is and DTR, generational overrides and Dream Team residuals. I will explain that, okay? So the goal is for you to go deep in your base shop in order to go wide in your first generation. See, you can't have a first generation if you don't go deep in your base shop. You got to help people get out of your base shop so that you can start creating first generation EVPs. Now, here's a quote from Mr. Ivy Stokes. Mr. Ivy Stokes says, 100 first generation EVPs will make you an infinity and make you a millionaire. 100. Now, I know what some of you are saying. You say, well, June, I need 400 people to become an infinity. Yeah, but if you have 100 first generation EVPs, you're going to have some goals in there. You're going to have some platinums in there. You might even have an infinity or two in there. And so you're going to get the 400, maybe even 1,000 that you need. Because if you had 100 first generation EVPs, if each one of those first generation EVPs had 10 in their base, in their organization, then you would have 1,000 people in your organization and you'd be a CEO infinity, right? So this is what he's saying. 100 first generation EVPs will make you a infinity. It may even make you a CEO infinity, and it will make you a millionaire. So see, what you got to do is you got to start concentrating on your base shop. You got to understand the power of tap rooting and getting people out of your base shop as quickly as you possibly can. You got to get those people out of your base shop. When you get them out of your base shop, they become your first generation EVPs, and now you can start rank advancing. The way that you rank advance is by having first generation EVPs. That's the way that you rank advance. Okay. So hopefully everybody understands that piece to it. All right. Now let's take a look at generational overrides. So let's take a look here at Mary. Mary is working inside of her base shop. So she's got all these people inside of her base shop. As you can see, Mary's got about 6 people in her base shop. Mary's goal is to help these people become executive vice presidents. Now, Mary also has 4 executive vice presidents in her first generation. And those 4 are out there trying to build their own business. So you got Todd, you got Joan, Russ, and Ben, and they're all trying to build their own business. And now what Mary is going to get is she's going to get what's known as generational overrides. So every time somebody comes into Todd's organization, Mary's going to get a generational override. So for example, Mary currently right now is a gold. So every time somebody comes in, Todd sponsors somebody, Mary's going to make $7.50. Every time Joan sponsors somebody, or somebody sponsors somebody that's in Joan's organization, Mary's going to get $7.50. And so you can see how you can start creating some significant income. Imagine if you have 100 first generation EVPs and you are an infinity. Okay. We just said you 100 first generation EVPs would make you an infinity. All right. And let's just say on a weekly basis, you had, let's just say you had, on a weekly basis, you had out of 100 people in your organization, or 1,000, let me see, what did I say? 1,000 people in your organization as a first generation EVP. Let me back up because I may be confusing you guys. If you had 100 first generation EVPs, you would pretty much have somewhere between 400 to 1,000 people in your organization. Let's just say that you are now a CEO infinity with 1,000 people in your organization. That week, if everybody in your organization just got one person, that's one person times 1,000 people, you would make $12,000 that week because of generational overrides. Okay. See, inside of your generations, you get these generational overrides. Every time a new person comes into the business, depending on your rank, you get $2.50, $7.50, $9.50, or $12. So if you've got 1,000 people in your organization and you average one person this week that got started, that's 1,000 people that got started. Now, you didn't know any of those people. There's no way possible that you know 1,000 people in your organization, but everybody went out and they got one person. So if 1,000 people all go out and get one person, that means 1,000 new people come into your organization that week. You just made $12,000 that week. See, excuse me, let me take a drink of water here. You have seen this happen inside of my econ in the last several months. You have seen people that have gotten checks for $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 in 1 week. It's not that they went out and bought and got $50 per person. It's that they had a lot of first generation EVPs. They had a lot of people in their organization, and all of those people just went out and did a little bit of work. They had 1,000 people on their team, and every person just went out and got one new person. See, a little bit of work. Each person did a little bit of work, but because the leader had so many people on his team, his or her team, they did a little bit of work, but that leader got paid a lot of bit of money, if that makes sense, right? So the goal here is to stay focused in your base shop and just create as many first generation EVPs as you possibly can. Now, those are generational overrides. That's what you get paid when a new person comes into the business that's not inside of your base shop. Let's talk about Dream Team residuals. Now, Dream Team residuals are a little bit different here. Dream Team residuals are residuals that you get paid every month when somebody pays $34.95, their membership. Excuse me. So let's look at Dream Team residuals. Same organization. A gentleman has 1,000 people inside their organization, and all 1,000 people just simply pay their $34.95. If you're in Infinity, your Dream Team residual, the second Friday of the month, is $7 times 1,000 people. So you make $7,000, okay? CEO Infinities actually make a little bit more because there's some other things that go into the CEO Infinity, but we're just going to say Infinity with 1,000 people in their organization. This is not new people coming in. This is just the old people that are still paying their monthly membership of $34. So that Infinity with 1,000 people would earn $7,000. Now, how do you get Dream Team residuals? Dream Team residuals means that these people have been in my econ and paid their my econ monthly membership for 5 months. So once they pay on that 5th month, you start receiving residual income on them on a month-to-month basis. Now, why do we do that? We do that because, one, as a leader, see, when you start rank advancing, that means that you're becoming a leader. And as a leader, there's some different responsibilities that you have as a leader. And one of those responsibilities is to train your team. So you want to train your team. And when you train your team, you are rewarded for training your team. So here's what I want you to think about. See, on the upfront money, when I bring somebody in, I either make $50 or $40. That's the upfront money. And that's good money to bring somebody in the business. But here's what I want you to understand. To keep people in the business is worth even more. To keep people in the business is worth more than bringing them in the business. Let's just say that you're Infinity and you're getting $7 and you got somebody that stays in the business. Well, now 7 times 12 is $84 a year. See, you made $50 when they came in, but you make $84 every year that they stay in. So do you understand that the residual is more powerful than the upfront money? Yeah, the $50 is great. The $40 is great. But if they stay in the business, if they become long-term people in the business, this is what you make on them on a yearly basis. I got people that's been in the business from day one with me 5 years ago, 4.5, 5 years ago. They're still in the business. So imagine, Mr. Stokes has people who have been in the business with him 12 years, 14 years, 15 years. So now you take an individual that's been with Mr. Stokes for the 14 years that my econ has been around. Mr. Stokes getting paid $7 a month on that person, $84 a year. $84 times the 14 years that the person's been in business, Mr. Stokes has made $1,176 on that one person since they've been in the business. He did the work one time. That's true leverage. He did the work one time, and it pays him each and every month, each and every year. And he's got hundreds of people like that. Everywhere I go, he'll say, who's been with my econ 14 years? Man, a big group of people stand up in the room. So your residuals is where it's at. Now, Also notice this, inside of your base shop, you don't get paid residuals. Dream Team residuals are only paid in your generations. They are never paid inside of your base shop. That's why you want to work your butt off to get people out of your base shop to your first generation so that you can continue to get paid on them. See, if you bring somebody in and you don't help them at all, and they just come into my econ and they sit in your base shop and you never help them, that means that you get paid on them one time and you'll never get paid on them ever again. You'll never get paid on them ever again as long as they sit inside of your base shop. But if you go out and you actually start doing some work and you help that person and you get them out of your base shop and you get them over to your first generation, now you're going to start getting some Dream Team residuals on them. See, my econ designed its compensation plan so that you don't just leave people. You don't just put them in the business, never talk to them, never work with them. No, you work with them because that's money that you're leaving on the table if you never work with them. You got to work with them and you got to get them up to speed. You got to show them how to do this business so that you can make long-term income. Let me tell you something. It's great if you can go out and recruit 100 people all by yourself. But at some point, you're going to get tired of that. You're going to get tired of filling up the bucket because you're doing all the recruiting. You're not training anybody. And as soon as you put them in, they leave. It's much easier for you to go out and train 20 people or bring in 20 people and train those 20 people to go get 20 people. That's a lot easier. And then now you got people that's staying in the business 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. See, this is a long-term process. If you really want to create wealth, not just some fast money, but you want to create some wealth, you got to build something. You got to build something with stability. You got to build a team, right? You got to build a foundation. And that's what this comp plan is really all about and what it's all set up for, is to really go into your base shop, help people become EVPs, and then teach your EVPs, your first generation EVPs, to do the same thing. See, if everybody just focused in their base shop, I don't need to go down to my second and third and fourth generation, go down there and trying to train them and teach them and talk to them. No, all I need to do is work my base shop, teach my people, my MDs, how to become EVPs. And then when they become EVPs, teach them how to teach their MDs to become EVPs. See, if everybody just worked on teaching their folks to become EVPs, you hit everything that you want to do. You hit every rank that you want to hit. You get everything that you want if you teach people how to become an executive vice president. And there's power in that because all you're doing is getting one, right? You just want to go out and get one person. And that's, I mean, I don't know how hard it is for you to go out and get one person, but you'll want to get one person. You want to go out and get one person, get that person promoted to executive vice president. That's your goal, is to get them promoted to executive vice president. All right. All right. So I am back on the screen here. We've got